So let me summarize here. We've got two tracks, one for high strings, one for low strings. Initially I had high strings with Contact having loaded. Open this up, browser, minimize that. High strings was the first instance of action strings, and low strings was the second instance. And remember that the styles allow you to specify low or high strings and the time signature, the basis for the rhythm. Close that. Then each one is on a separate MIDI channel, like I had mentioned before. So make sure that that is selected before you start creating anything. Then I initially played back low strings. And as I'd mentioned, you can play back from the keyboard, or you can input directly from the keyboard within Logic from here, or from the physical keyboard, either way. It didn't play back before because I was not in the range of the low strings. And this is the range up and down the keyboard. Okay? Or you can draw a part in, a segment in, like I had demonstrated before. Just bring that across. So once I had done that, when I look inside, I'll just turn that off for a moment, my trigger notes will play back the desired musical phrase, and these are my physical pitch notes. And remember, the velocity when it's maximum will make this note a sharp accent, more like when you're finishing a particular phrase. And I then added automation, and the modulation is the controller, which is very important to add dynamics, add life to the piece of music itself. I then just simply option click drag, as if I was to do it like that, but I dragged it up to the high strings track, and then didn't mean to do that. And then what I did was raise the notes themselves up one octave. So from C2 up to C3. Like that. So I kept the same trigger notes. Remember, with action strings, action strikes, the trigger notes are from C0 onwards. That's all I did. And then I discovered by accident that if I was to drop the pitch by half a tone, that would clash with the low strings that were starting from C. High strings were starting from B. But it gave me that lovely dissonance, quite typical of a Hitchcock, Bernard Herrmann music score. Now, what else? Modulation. Just remember that your trigger notes have to be before the actual beginning of the pitch note, or at least on the bar or beat. Now you may have noticed there was some kind of clicks like that. Now I had mentioned before in class that the disk buffer size, disk block buffer size, it's very important that you listen carefully to any unwanted digital clicks that can happen during mixing or recording. Because I'm screen capturing, running the audio out of Logic, recording my voice back in, it's quite demanding on the computer. And you're hearing some unwanted digital artifact that occasionally. So I can alleviate that by increasing the disk block buffer size, but I'm also increasing the total latency of the computer. At the moment, my interface is giving a round trip delay input to output of 9.8 milliseconds. That's okay. Remember, I'd spoken about perceived sounds, if they were exactly identical, played back with a short delay, what delayed amount would you start to perceive two sounds? And it roughly is around 30 milliseconds. Depends on the frequency. So it's bear that in mind. Any unwanted digital click, you probably will have to increase the buffer size. When mixing, 512 or 1024 when mixing, to be safe.